What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Chiefin With Daily Dale. I'm your host, Dale Fowler, along with my partner, Lonny. How you doing today, brother?
Good.
Man, got some news that we're going to jump into. We're going to get right into it. So we're going to talk about the rankings of the top linebackers in the league, and we're going to tell you where Nick Bolton is placing in that ranking. Also, we're going to dive into some former Chiefs being top NFL free agents right now, and just going to go over if we would consider bringing them back or not. Sports Illustrated also has Clyde as a top trade candidate for the Kansas City Chiefs, so we can discuss. We're going to discuss and see what potential trades that can happen for that, and when and where would that happen for the Kansas City Chiefs. And also, we're going to dive into Tommy Townsend, punter. We're going to talk about if he can possibly be the highest paid punter in the league. That actually came up in some stories, and we're going to see how we feel about that and discuss that a lot more. But let's go ahead and jump into the episode. Now, Lonny, like I said, Sports Illustrated has said Clyde Edward-Helaire is the top trade candidate for the Kansas City Chiefs. Could you see a trade happening before the trade deadline or sometime this offseason before we kick off the season? And what do you think we can get in that potential trade?
Yeah, so I could see a potential trade happening if that running back room gets a little crowded there. And we have Jet, we have Pop, and we have a new kid Price that's supposed to be making some noise there out of Tulsa. So the room is kind of loaded. So if Clyde has some success and makes some plays and gives himself a little bit of a market, I could see a possible trade coming as long as we can get a couple picks in return. Now I'm not sure what those picks look like. But I'm almost positive it won't be another player. It'll more just be picks or future picks down the line. If a trade is done, I wouldn't say it's the main thing that they're looking for. Like with Clyde, I feel like they're kind of more wanting them to have success, being that he was a first round pick. But I could see if a trade does happen. Like I said, I could see them getting some compensation and picks from behind from Clyde. But other than that, not too much. Especially, I don't know what the market's like on him, being that he was hurt too. He was also injured these last couple years. So we're not there's no definite that the market is going to be great for him. And there's going to be a great return on him. That's why I said hopefully he could give himself some value during the season or even preseason. To kind of up that market to maybe where he has some value, and you can trade him and get substantial compensation back. But if he doesn't do that and he's kind of hurt, I probably could see him just ending up splitting and parting ways here at the end of the season, like it looks like it was coming to anyway, with them not picking up the 5th-year option. But other than that, I don't know if the trade market is great on him. But being that his articles like this coming out by Sports Illustrated, it has to be some type of market there. But I would like to see what the Chiefs get back in compensation. We know Veach, he likes to package picks together. He'll finagle his way to some draft picks and pick some really good players. So if a trade does happen, it'll be exciting to see what he gets in return, and see what he does with it after he gets it in return.
Do I really want to see Clyde traded at this time? Honestly, no. Just because I would like to have that depth in the backfield. I know we have a great running back group with Jet McKinnon and also Pacheco. Those guys led the way, especially in that playoff run and in the Super Bowl as well too. Because it was some guys that we had that were supposed to step up, right on Jones, who didn't even get clocked because we liked what we were doing with Jet and also Pacheco. So just having that type of playmaker back in the backfield as well too, although we know that he was injury riddled and had a lot of situations, Clyde is someone who has the potential and has the athletic ability to make some plays out in open space as well too. With his physique and his small body size, he's able to finagle his ways and be able to gain those extra yards when he's in open field space and able to break a tackle. Now, I know I have talked down upon him before when being in those goal line situations where he's not able to push the pal and sometimes he's stuffed. But at the same time, when he's out in the field. He's able to catch the ball out the backfield. He's able to gas you for 5 to 6 yard gains. Sometimes can get a lot more as well too, where we moving the chains. But he has showed that ability, especially in his first season before he got injured. He was on pace to have 1,000+ yard season. He was over 1,000 yards total because, like I said, he's good in the receiving game as well too, and he had about 200+ along with 800 yards on the ground as well. So he was very effective, and he was the reason why we were able to get back to that Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, even though we lost. And some say that if we handed him off the ball a lot more, we probably could have scored some points and put and been in a dogfight with the Buccaneers. But after that season, he started having injury issues. He was having problems, and that's something that we were trying to avoid, especially in that backfield, because we had that with Dane before he actually sat out that season for COVID and then ended up going to the Bears and moving on to another team. But if we were to trade him, I think we could get like a 4th, 5th round pick. I think it could happen. Like, I think he has a market out there, because if he was to go to another team, he'll be able to put up those same numbers, at least probably do a lot more, especially if he's the feature back in that backfield. I think he could be your number one starter on the team, but just what he showed with us and his injury history we're not going to get no 2nd and 3rd round pick probably for him. We already know we're not going to get a 1st round pick, even though he's a 1st round player. But we saw what happened with Rashad Fenton as well too. There was a guy that we thought that eventually would be a solid starter for the Kansas City Chiefs when he was out there. He was making plays. He was always great in man coverage as well. Sometimes he wasn't able to play the ball as effectively, but he was step to step with the defender, and he made some solid plays as well too. But he started having injuries, and then we end up trading him by the trade deadline to the Falcons, and we got a 7th round pick back. Now, Beach, regardless of what round the pick is in, he values those picks, because you'll never know. You could probably potentially package that to move up in the draft, or probably package that in another deal where he can get something back, or he's going to use that pick. He's going to use he loves getting his draft picks. So I honestly think that we're not on pace to probably trade him. I think if we were to trade him, it's going to be due to him getting injured early in the season, and we're dealing with him missing a couple games, and they're going to be like, okay, let's go ahead and get something out of him before we have to let him go, just because he's not going to be as valuable now, and just see what we can get out of it. And that could be a discussion they have throughout the season. We might see it way before, because if they know that he's on the market, some teams going to reach out and see what they give an offer to the Kansas City Chiefs. They probably just going to wait a while and see if they can get more out of that, because say if he is solid throughout the season, they're going to want him on that run, because he's going to be a focal point in that offense if he's making plays, right? So it's just going to depend on what Clyde does. Right now, I think they're giving him the green light to, hey, come out here, play for your position, play for your spot back. And I think he's someone who's going to be dressing on that 53-man roster if he is healthy. I think they're going to carry 3 backs. I think they would do that.
And it's play for your spot back, right? But it's still like Pop he's the green light there. I'm sorry. I feel like if he's healthy, he has it. You lost your job, Clyde. It's come and fight for your spot back at this point. If he doesn't come out guns blazing, but this is more of a story later in the further we go into the season, because he's fighting for his spot now. It's gone.
But really,
he's the 3rd guy on the depth chart.
So you don't really have to fight for that spot with Pacheco. Then you can go ahead and fight for that spot with Jet McKinnon, because he's on a 1-year deal, right? We're not going to let him go. We're going to ride it out. But then next season, we'll probably feel comfortable with let him go if you have a healthy run, if you have around the same yardage as Pacheco as well, too, maybe even more, where it's like, okay, this is the dual back setup I can see, because Pacheco, with him being that young and athletic, and has somewhat some speed on him as well too, and out in the open field he can kind of put on the wheels as well. But you can have that running back system to where you have a smaller stout guy who's a little bit more heavier, could be the one who can kind of weigh down the defense, along with having that young guy who's explosive, who's going to hit those gaps, hit those holes, and then bring more fire to that running game as well too, because he's also an aggressive runner. So that could be something that they like as well, along with the young guy that they have that we talked about, Price. Excuse me.
Yeah.
That you can bring in, and you have something with that. But we'll see how that goes. I think it's just right now it's on him. And it's always best to be on you. You don't, if you play to the best of your ability and play like you was what we expect you to be when you first came out, even have a solid season like that first season you had with us in your rookie year, then we're gonna be like, okay, that's what we like, that's what we want to see. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't. If I'm him, if anything, you can't miss more than 1 or 2 games.
Yeah,
But you need to
that's
be you need to play all 17, even all 16. If we got to our spot to the point where we're gonna set out the starters, you're part of that group to where like your durability is going to matter in this season,
absolutely.
and we will see how that goes. I have faith in him, though. I would love for him to stay a part of this, but if a potential trade happens,
Mm.
it happens, bro.
And like we
So
said before, we're gonna put it on the slogan. We need to put this on a t-shirt. Your best
it's
ability
availability.
is availability.
Yes, sir.
That's what we keep saying. That's the leading message on this podcast, y'all. We're gonna hammer that home, and you will see that a lot with Chiefs players. If you're available with the Chiefs, you have an opportunity, especially if
Fact.
you're a playmaker. But if you're not
And then
available,
you make plays as well too. Yeah, you always
yeah,
gonna have a spot
yeah,
on this roster. Andy Reid is one of
exactly.
those offensive gurus. He'll make anyone open. He can get the younger guys up as well too. He can do his fourth and fifth option. So we see that in the AFC Championship game when we lost Juju, Kadarius, and some other guy, and McCole as well too. And we had to go with Sky Moore at MVS, and then my guy.
Marcus Kemp.
Marcus Kemp. So we seen what can be done. So if you're out there, you'll be able to make a play. But
Yeah.
let's go ahead and jump into our next topic. So Sports Illustrated listed Nick Bolton as the 8th best linebacker in the league. And I'll go ahead and give you guys the top 10 linebacker list that they have. So like I said, they have at number 10, Nick Bolton, and then at number 9, they have Bears linebacker Tremont Edmonds. At number 8, 49ers linebacker Dre Greenlaw. Number 7, Demario Davis for the set. David for the Buccaneers. Number 5, Matt Milano for the Bills. Number 4, Shaquille Leonard for the Colts. Number 3, Bobby Wagner for the Seahawks. Number 2, Roquan Smith for the Ravens. And then number 1, Fred Warner for the 49ers. Now, I'm honestly okay with the top 3. Those all are solid guys who are playmakers on the defensive side. And they're actually really the best at their positions. Now, Bobby Wagner getting older. He's at age 32. However, he has not had a bad season. And even when he left the Seahawks and went to the Rams, he still had a solid season, even though they were not a playoff team that year. But that's because of the offense, right? So I think at the top 3, I think that's solid. Now, Lonnie, where would you rank Nick Bolton on this list?
Yeah, so I'm definitely putting him above Greenlaw at 8, right? And passing Tremaine Edmonds. Yeah, because I just feel like he's shown that he's kind of outplayed those two guys. Now, when you get up there to the Denario Davises of the world, the Bobby Wagners of the world, I feel like Nick does have to add a little bit more to his resume to be considered in the same vein and breadth as those guys. And I would just say he just needs to so he can cover a little bit better. Those are when we speak to those linebackers, those are kind of game-changing linebackers in the cover game and in the tackle game. So as far as just being a great overall linebacker, I feel like those linebackers showcase all of those elements. I feel like Nick showcases those same elements just in different type of ways. I feel like we said, it's situationally the situations that Nick is in. Typically, those other guys aren't in those situations. They're usually on defenses you're trying to win the game on defense, or you don't have an offense that's that great, or you're not. It's not a high stake game. So I feel like Nick is playing in a lot more high stakes, high pressure games. In just a lot of different situations. Teams are usually trying to keep the ball out of the hands of the Chiefs, so they're running the ball, or if they're not running the ball, they're not trying to go point for point with the Chiefs. Nobody wants to sit up there and have to have a Rams game where you're scoring 100. So it's a little bit of different game that Nick is playing, and it's not always the cutest or the sexiest because it's not your back and forth type of game, but it gets the job done. He's still sticking his nose in the A and B gap and coming smash face downhill and stonewalling Derrick Henry if he has to. So like he plays a different game than Denario Davis, and I feel like the other B-Wags, and Fred Warner. So it's just not as flashy. And it was like you said, it's not on the defense that is considered okay. The Chiefs are going to win this game on defense. It's not a defense that considered the sexiest in the league. It's more about Patrick Mahomes' offense. So I feel like that kind of overshadows Nick a little bit, but I definitely will put him above Greenlaw at 8, at least at the 8 position. Now, when we get up, like you said, to that 3-2, 3-2-1, it's hard to argue that.
It's interchangeable, but that's set in stone.
Yeah, but even Denario Davis, I feel like he's kind of interchangeable with Denario Davis. But
and I was about to say
Denario Davis does a lot for the Saints, right? Just as a leader, and leading that defense, he's kind of the inspiration, that extra juice there, and a playmaker as well himself. So a lot of hats off to him and Levante David, and a lot of Devontae David and Devin White. I don't know if Devin White was on that list, but he should have been on that list.
Yeah,
he's a hell of a playmaker as well.
And and I know we say this all the time. That's why we can't put him in that top 5, right? Because defensively, we don't really ask the Chiefs to win those games, right? However, it's been times where our defense had to step up and win those games. We saw it last season and this season as well, too, that just passed. So, I'm talking about the season before. I know I said last season, but I'm talking about in his rookie year when he was playing. It was times that we needed the defense to make a play. They were able to make some plays and, get the ball back for the offense so we can win and, close out the game. But at the same time, I think he has that ability to do so. I mean, we saw it in the Super Bowl and in that playoff run as well, where he's just a ball magnet. He's always like somewhere around the ball, either forcing a fumble, off a tip pass in the interception, or even a fumble recovery where it just falls into his hands and he capitalizes and he put points up at that. Because in that Super Bowl, he could have had 2 fumble recoveries for a touchdown. Right there. He had it. One, he forced it because once he saw his face, he was like, oh, he froze up, dropped the ball, he picked it up and scored. On the second one, he got hit by someone else, but he was in that area. Once he got hit, picked it up, scored a touchdown. So he's always around the play. And I think with him being a leader tackler for the Kansas City Chiefs and also being in that top 5 category in league tackles in the NFL, he shows he possesses that ability of being a top linebacker in the league. Now, when we go to number 7 and down with the Saints, defense, Buccaneers, Bills, Colts, Seahawks. We saw it with the Colts where that was one of the worst teams in the league, and defensively they dominated us that game, and they were the reason why we won. They got a turnover in a sense, was able to capitalize off that, get downfield, and then score a touchdown, and then kick a field goal, and they won like that. And with those other teams as well too, like the Saints and the Buccaneers. Offensively, their teams were not well established. They were not a threat at all. So they had to make the plays down the stretch for their teams to either get a turnover to capitalize off of that or to save a game to end it as well too, to where they were able to get turnover on downs and they were able to kneel and win from that. So those are the games that the defenses have dominated. Now, I think the Chiefs have that potential on the defense to do so as well too. But I think at times we get so comfortable with having the best quarterback in the league where it's like teams, they're playing with so much of a sense of urgency where they're capitalizing throughout the game as well too, to where if they're already in 33 situations or 4-3 situations, like in the second or third quarter, they're always playing like it's the fourth quarter because they know the Chiefs have the ability to come back at any time or dominate throughout the whole game where they're playing behind, and they have to do that already. So the defense is getting gashed throughout. When you having to where you're playing against those opposing offenses as well too, to where maybe your offense is not as great, right? So they're not playing with that much of a sense of urgency because they feel like if they get the last possession of the game or when they get towards that third and fourth quarter where they're going to start playing with more of a sense of urgency, that's when they start dominating. And then if your defense hasn't had that ability of being gashed all game and people playing like it's the fourth quarter already just because they know on the other side of the field that offense right there can put up points just at a snap of a finger, positions where they had it to where it lasts 2 minutes just because they had that playmaking ability on the offensive side. On with the defense that can affect it. You got to think about it. They're not getting a break on the sidelines themselves as well too. After they get a turnover, we may score quick. They got to get back out there. So they're playing. They're trying to preserve energy throughout the game, and sometimes they may have to give a possession or where they play lackadaisical to where they start playing when they start getting towards they field position, and then they force it to where they only get a field goal. That's why in times I think with the Kansas City Chiefs, you see that defense kind of collapse in moments because our offense is that good. They score so fast, they can take control of the game, and we're back out there like that. So it's just, I think that's where sometimes it affects where you're ranked on the defense in these type of rankings, because we haven't seen you have to take over and be the reason why your team won.
And that's what and I feel like that's why, like I said, you just kind of confirmed. You said it. You explained it better than what I explained it for sure. But yes, that's what we're both saying the same thing. We're kind of alluding to the same thing. The situation that the Chiefs defense is in, 20 times out of 20, you guys, if you're watching football situationally, the team is playing like it's the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
when the game starts, and it's just because you have to. It's a threat that they give off when you see Mahomes on the field.
Onside kicks because they just scared. Like they come out the gate like you think they about to kick the ball. Oh, they hit you with a little trigger. They not playing. They coming out there like, oh, whoa, I was chilling back here. I wasn't even ready. We gotta get out there and get you. I mean, you gotta stay in that mindset the whole game, right?
Yeah.
That once you hit that field, you hit that turf, you hit that natural grass, and that 15-minute on the clock starting the first quarter, you gotta be ready to go at all times because anything can happen. But it's just so uncommon because sometimes those opposing offenses don't give that same fear that the Kansas City Chiefs give on the offensive side for themselves because they just know how great the team is. So they feel like they got to get ahead first and be ahead, and we got to play from the back to where, you know, we got to be the ones who play catch up or anything in that matter, right? So I feel like it's just placement of what type of team you're on. But these guys, I will legit say, like, it's not unbelievable why Nick Bolton is at number 10 though. Just being honest. It's not like the Chiefs are a top 15 defense. I believe it was in the top 20. But you know, we had games to where we played at an elite level. We had games to where we let teams who shouldn't have dogged us out just take off on us. Now, did we win those games? Yes. Did they make plays or certain moments where it was able to shift the game for the Chiefs? Yes. But some of these guys and some of these players, they have to play at that elite level in situational moments where, oh, God, hey, we know on this guy on here, he gonna get a stop. Aaron Donald, go get that sack. You saw it in the Super Bowl against Cincy, that last possession. And Cincinnati Bengals offense, you know, they're one of the most elite offenses in the league. And Joe Burrow has been someone who has had a lot of game-winning drives that year as well, too. And they came out there, it was like, hey, defense, we need y'all to make a play. And they made the play. Neil Super Bowl. With the Chiefs, don't score and leave 13 seconds on the clock. That's bad. That's bad, kind of, right? Like, we can let y'all score with 13 seconds left. We know Patrick Mahomes gonna get us in field goal range. You know, that's tough. That's why the pressure be on the offense of Mahomes a lot more, just because of the simple fact that we're thinking like that. And it's okay because it's fun to see, defense win championships, all that. The Chiefs showing you we can win on our offense. All our defense got to do is make a couple plays. We're going to do the rest of it. And that's fun to see. And that keeps the game entertaining as well, too. But, hey, we'll see how it goes.
And that's why, and I feel like this is just my last addition to that is that's why he gets the Stephen Curry comparison, right? Because the long theory in the NBA is live by the three, die by the three, until Steph Curry and them broke that narrative and show like it's no longer live by the three, die by the three. It's no longer defense wins championships. Okay, that's over.
We're gonna outscore you.
It's over.
We're gonna outscore you. Yep. So we're gonna go ahead and let it jump to a commercial break. Once we get back, we're diving into some more Chiefs topics right here on Chiefin with Daily Dale.
What up, KC? On the heels of yet another Kansas City Super Bowl victory, we have an awesome opportunity for you to broadcast your business to the local Kansas City market. We've created something called Kansas City Sports Company, which is a sports media hub for multiple live shows, all of which cover all the local Kansas City teams. Now, we have 30-second ad spots, 60-second ad spots, we have event sponsorships, studio sponsorships, show sponsorships, and much, much more. This is a great opportunity for you to start early with us and broadcast your business to a very dedicated, very enthusiastic Kansas City audience. Contact me or hit the Contact Us link on our website to learn more about this opportunity.
Now, welcome back to the episode. Now, moving on to our next topics, we have some former Chiefs that's on the market amongst top NFL free agents this offseason. We have Marcus Peters, who was recently with the Ravens, then Justin Houston, also, who was recently with the Ravens as well, too. So, Lonnie, what's your thoughts about that? Would you consider bringing any of those guys back onto this roster this upcoming season?
But yeah, I love Jay Houston and shout out MP the Juice Man. Shout out both of those guys. Those are Chiefs for life. Now, just as far as this is the age bracket of the group, I've got to say no to Marcus Peters just because he kind of really doesn't fit the scheme. I know MP was great while he was here, and the way he played was wonderful. He played really, I think the best he's really played in his career as far for me. Outside of that Rams stint that he had in the NFL was here in KC. But like you said, I just really don't think the scheme fit works really. You have to kind of be able to play everywhere in SPAG system, follow guys around, and be able to play that tight man coverage, not just one side of the field. And I feel like that scheme really.
Lonnie, looks like we lost you a little bit. Now, what were you saying again?
Yeah, so I just don't think that scheme really fits Marcus anymore. As far as having to move around with guys, follow the best guy around, maybe, and even cover the top guys and try and shut them down man to man. That scheme really doesn't fit Marcus's style. Spag, and that's more of Spag style. He wants to be able to blitz you, have you follow around. Sometimes you got a motion, just different things like that. And I don't think that fits Marcus's style of play. He's older. He's he's up there in his career now. And I don't see that fit really working. Now as far as Justin Houston, Big 50, also a great long-term chief for life. Set the sack record for us. Here's the Chief. Yeah, so he really had one of his best stints as a Chief as well. Now I could see this possibly being a pickup. Just like we said, we always looking for vets to shore up that room, kind of lead the way there. Really show that different the Chiefs mentality, how we play, how we come, how we prepare. Jay Houston was one of those guys that was here with Andy Reid when he first started, and he had those great defensive players under his wing, Eric Berry, Derek Johnson. He kind of inherited one of those great defenses with Bob Sutton. So I could kind of see more of that one being a factor somewhere down the road for the Chiefs. But just the Marcus Peters one, I don't see that one quite going through. But the Justin Houston definitely is a possibility. Just as far as just having some depth there on the defensive line, adding another presence in that room that can kind of shut some things up, give some guys some good work ethic. Also show some guys around town that's a vet that lived here for a long time and knows the city well. He's been away for a minute, but this was his first home. Like I said, he's done great things with the organization. He knows the organization through and through. He knows the standard. And he doesn't know like as far as the Super Bowl standard, but as far as just the standard, as far as the camps and how you need to prepare when you're dealing with Andy Reid and things of that nature, I feel like he knows and he'll be able to help assist just as good as Dunlap or any other Suggs, any other vet that's kind of been in that room to help there. I feel like that would be more of a incline pickup for the Chiefs.
I'm okay with not picking up Marcus Peters. We already said that before. Scheme wise, is just not going to be the best fit anyway. Just because he was more of a zone corner anyway, and he did decent in the zone, but in man coverage, sometimes he was a liability. He would get beat in coverage and everything like that. So how Spags plays this system now, It's really important and it's imperative that you're able to be in man coverage and you're not a liability. You can stay step to step with the receiver because sometimes we want to bring that extra guy to where we can't play in that zone and we're going to have to play man up on some of those elite wide receivers in the league, and we're going to need you to make a play. We can't have you getting beat most of the time because at the same time that's going to affect what we do on the offensive end as well too when you're not able to like get any stops on the defensive end. So it just doesn't make sense, even though he's like the top two chief that's available in the NFL free agency right now. He's just not a fit for us. Now, Justin Houston, I understand that he played in that 3-4 system that we had where he was considered an outside linebacker, and sometimes he had to play in coverage. But we also saw after his fight what he had with the Colts and also the Ravens as well too, that he became a 4-down lineman. He was on the edge. He was a defensive end. He could put his hand into the ground. So he will be able to succeed in this defense just because we, first of all, we need that veteran presence as well too. We know that we talked about the possibility of bringing back Carlos Dunlap, but Justin Houston is a guy as well who was averaging like 8 sacks a season once he left us, and we needed that. We had Frank Clark who wasn't available throughout some of those seasons, and he wasn't even able to top a 10 sack season. So even bringing in that type of guy who, when we have, you know, the Felix and George Karlaftis in the world, and then Chris Jones as well too, that just be a wonderful asset that we can have on that defensive line to where, okay, he can go out there on third down. We know he can beat that left tackle or right tackle and get a sack, or cause a play to where he can disrupt the quarterback and we can get the defense off the field. He'll be able to provide that needed depth that we need at defensive end. So I'm okay with that pickup. I'm perfectly fine with that. Now, I don't think it happens just because it seemed like it was been times that the Chiefs could have picked him up in the offseason, and it looks like there wasn't any traction at all. And I don't think they even reached out to him as well, too, nor was he taking any calls from us. I think he's like, okay, my time with the Chiefs is done, and he just moved on. But if he was to come back here, he's not going to get those deals he can probably get with another team just because he still can be an effective defensive end, and he can still take home probably more than what he would do with us, because I don't really see him doing more than a vet minimum with the Kansas City Chiefs, probably with some incentives on top of that to where he can probably have that Carlos Dunlap type of deal that we had last year with that 1 year $8 million. And I think he had to, meet certain incentives to even get that full $8 million as well too. So he wasn't even someone who affected the cap as much. So we need you to come in and be able to just provide that needed guidance we need for those young guys we have, and also be able to play at a high level as well too, because this is not the same team that you played with when you had Alex Smith at quarterback and Bob Sutton at defensive coordinator. You have a more polished organization, more Super Bowl respected caliber players that's on the roster. We have that experience as well too, and we know that you want to get one before you retire as well. So I'm okay with picking him up. I think he will still fit the scheme. But if it doesn't happen, I'm fine with that as well. We know usually when the Chiefs are done with players, they're done with players. We never really reconnected with guys, even the Jamal Charles or the Derrick Johnsons in the world. When we signed those guys back, it was just for them to retire as Chiefs. And, just because what they did for the organization throughout their time here in Kansas City. So that was just a respect type of thing for the organization to those players. So, we'll see what happens. I doubt it, though. I really do doubt it. But if I was to bet on bringing a former player back, it will probably be Justin Houston.
Absolutely.
Now, I do see for Shad Fenton, Anthony Hamilton, Sammy Watkins, Terrace Mitchell out there, but those are guys we don't really need. We don't really need that depth at that position. We're deep at wide receiver, and we're deep at defensive backs as well, too. And we like the young guys that we have. So where would you fit in, right? So I think they move forward. If they do bring in anyone, I can see probably reconnecting with Carlos Dunlap again, and maybe Dominican Sue is out there as well too at defensive tackle. If we need depth at that position, we can see. I can see us picking him up just because we saw what he did with the Buccaneers. We saw what he did with the Rams as well too. So he's still that player that you can have in the middle that is very effective, and he's grimy, and we need that leverage in the interior defensive line along with Chris Jones. So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw that happen late preseason acquisition before the season started, because I think he's one of those guys. He said he's not going to campus or anything like that no more. He's just going to be someone who comes in and provide the necessary skill set that you need and what you want out of his position. So we'll see how that go. I think it will be fun to see. Hey, who knows? We've seen crazier things happen. We saw Bobby Wagner leave the Seahawks, then go to the Rams, and then go back to the Seahawks this year. So anything is possible and anything can happen. But let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, our last topic. Tommy Townsend could potentially become the highest paid punter in the league. This actually came about on Arrowhead Addict, where they said the Chiefs actually make him the highest paid punter in the league. Now, Lonny, do you think he deserves that contract, especially with some of the special team issues he had this past season in the field goal game, where we had some bad holds on his part? However, he was a booter. He boots the ball. He can place the offense back in their own 10, 15, even 5 sometimes as well too. So he's great. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so in the great words of Pat McAfee, Tommy Townsend is a dog. He's a dog. He's one of the best punters in the league, if not the best punter in the league. As of right now, he does his job. He flips field position. He has had some slip ups. He did have a shank in the AFC Championships in the playoffs. He wasn't great in the playoffs a couple years ago. A couple shanks in the playoffs, but he's redeemed himself since then. And I feel like Tommy has shown that he's one of those upper echelon punters. He's able to get what he wants out of the punt game. Really use that field position, flip field position. Give the defense that advantage. He's kind of putting the onus on the Chiefs to where they have to pay him, which I do like, and I love that. You always love to see that from any player because he's outplaying his contract. So I feel like Tommy definitely is old. He's due. I feel like he definitely will be paid. He makes great plays. I feel like if anyone doesn't know, that's the reason that we really went and picked up Kadarius. Him and Tommy played together at Florida. He was very familiar with the Joker. Of course, Tommy is the punter, and Kadarius was a punt returner. So they had a relationship there too as well. That's just on insider. I know everybody's not familiar with college football, but they both were teammates at Florida. But yes, I feel like he deserves to be paid. His worth has shown. He did mess up on some punts, and it's really a job that they take on. And it's kind of like I hate that for punters. I'm sorry, he messed up on some holds for kicks. And he shanked a couple punts, but everybody's entitled to some mess ups here and there, even though you're professional. So I don't like to hold those type of things against those guys that kind of separate themselves with their play. Now, if Tommy wasn't doing his job and pinning guys back and had 1 million touchbacks and led the league in touchbacks, okay, we got a different story here. But I feel like he kind of shows his worth flipping that field position and just really getting what he wants out of punts. And really in big games, he comes through when it's needed. And I love that out of Tommy. And we have to talk about the kicks that he did hold for and the ones that he did help go through. He held for a Super Bowl kick as well. Also held for Justin Reed. When things weren't going great, your safety. So like, he showed his worth in other ways as well too. Even though he has had some mishaps, but yes, I think Tommy deserves to be paid for sure.
I don't think he'd be the highest paid punter yet. I think we want him to get on that Colquitt level first, just because Colquitt was phenomenal with throughout his years with us, and he was able to get a Super Bowl with us before he eventually leaving the team. So I think he can reach that potential even better because he has a boot, he has a leg, and he can pin those opposing teams down in their field position to where we have the advantage on the defense. So I think he just needs to show more promise this upcoming season as well too. If he has a wonderful year, I can see us him probably being top 2 in his position, top 3, probably in pay, just because he's going to be probably the best as years to come. Just because playing with the Chiefs as well too, you're not going to be playing a lot. So when you're a guy who's on the sideline all the time, and when you're called upon, you're able to still make those big punts for us. That's always great, because a lot of times all he does is hold the kicks for the field goals. And he's that guy who goes out there. So I think he just need to polish up on that a little bit more. Be like just get that together. And when we saw Colquitt actually speak about that on Arrowhead podcast, like months before the Super Bowl, right? And he was talking about how when a lot of us was giving excuses and blaming Butker on it, and he actually pointed out that Tommy Townsend, the punter, was kind of affecting those field goals when going in, because the placement of the ball wasn't what it was supposed to be. At the same time, he's young as well too, because you know we got a lot of teams who use like their quarterbacks in that situation as well too. Sometimes they use their punters. Chiefs was one of the teams that has done that, because they did it with Colquitt and Tommy Townsend as well too. Even though that you might do trickery sometimes on in those situations, he has an arm himself. He can throw the ball, so he's okay with being out there. So I just think that he needs to work with Butker throughout camp. Even I feel like they be doing things in the off seasons, in the off season as well too. Even though we probably don't see that because they're kickers and punters, right? I think he probably honed on to that. And it's like, okay, I need to be prepared for that, because we're going to need those points. You know, we're not going to be able to go for 2 every time, right? We're going to need you and Butker to be on the same accord, and we're going to need to take those extra points when given. And also, when we need you for the field goal as well too, we need you to be prepared for that. So you just need to work on your ball placement, making sure that you put it in the right spot for Butker. And it seemed like a simple task, right? We're talking about like just guys just holding the ball. It's like, how can you not do that? Oh, that's important. You have to place the ball in the perfect spot. You can't have it on the laces. It needs to be on the back, and it needs to be a clean, ball to where the kicker can connect with it and kick a clean field goal for them to convert that. So those things, that's a science to it. It might seem simple in our minds and when we say it like that, but that is very important, because that became a talk in those conversations after that, because we were having a field goal problem. And then we're talking about a guy who was one of the best field goal kickers in the league before you switched positions with Colquitt. Now we saw the potential. That's why you stayed on the team, and we went ahead and signed you, because we know going forward we needed someone younger. We needed to go in a new direction. And it's okay, and you're young. That's fine. But you're going to be all right, because I think that's something simple that he can get together, especially when you're working with Butker, someone who could be a Hall of Fame kicker as times comes, because he has set records as well too. He has one of the longest field goals in the playoffs as well. So he has set a standard as being one of those top guys in the league, and he has been a part of championship teams as well too. So just take what people was criticizing you on, just eat a feed off of that and just get better. But I think he potentially can be the highest paid punter in the league. We'll see. But I don't think it's going to happen now. I think they're going to let the deal go out. I think they're going to let this year go by and then try to extend him afterwards. But, you got some great punters in the league already. So that's, you have people that setting that standard, and you're at that, right? Like, you're at least at top 5. So we know that you have that capability. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't think it's gonna happen. Not now. But later on, yeah, probably so. But anything you want to lead off to before we go ahead and jump off here?
Yeah, nothing else on Tommy. I wish him the best. Thank you for getting the joke over here, man. We appreciate you getting TK.
Man, we appreciate it. That's cool, but only thing I'm gonna say is, if y'all want to sign Justin Houston, just go ahead and do it, man. Just do it. Veteran, I like it. I think it would really be worth it. I want him to get a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
22.5 sacks, highest in Chief history. You know what I'm saying? One of the best sack seasons they had. So, hey, I think we still get some type of elite play out of him. But that's all we have for this episode of Chiefin With Daily Dale. Make sure to follow us on all our social media platforms, KC Sports Company on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow me on my social media platforms, Facebook, Dale Fowler Jr., Twitter, Dale E. Fowler, Instagram, Daily_Dale39, and then also Lonny on Instagram, _Lono, LONO, __, and then on Twitter, _Lono, LONNO. All right.
Yep.
We'll talk to y'all next time. Hey, Chiefin With Daily Dale.